Good evening, everyone. So, in the today's session, we discuss about the abstract classes information, and we identify the some of the final related example we identified. So, today we'll discuss about the another important concept called packages section here. Okay. So here, what we need to understand here, basically the packages are contain the multiple classes here, and they are going to use the they are going to keep the class name Karinapay, whatever the class name we are going to create. So this particular classes, the packages are going to differentiate the class names here. For example, what we need to understand here, if I'm going to expand this, if I'm going to expand this information, you can easily understand. You can see inside this is the one package, com.07 like code 07 abstract is the one package, and same way com.07 object is also one package. Now what I'm doing basically here, with help of this particular two packages, I'm going to create the same the class name information here. Okay, only the differences here, package name here. So whenever we want to create a multiple classes here with a different with the same name, how we are going to create it? So we are going to create the package name different here, because within the same package you are not going to create the same class here. Okay, so we are going to create the different package name, and inside the different packages we are going to provide the different different classes are the different packages. Only that it's contain the different package name, classes will be same here. Now if I want to provide the more information, what we need to understand here you can see, so figure class I'm creating here. This is the figure class we created. If I'm going to open this particular figure class, now you can see how many locations we are having. So the name of the file is same, but we created in the multiple locations here. First we created inheritance package. So another the same class we created under this particular core Java 07, and another one we created under this particular abstract. So something. So we may create one more class here. Getting the point. The class is same. The name of this particular class name is same. Only the difference is here. Packages names are different here. Getting the point. Now what you understand, whenever we want to create this particular same file name, how we are going to create? We are going to create with help of different package names here. Okay. Now what we are understanding is the packages basically it is going to differentiate the name of the file with help of this particular package name here. Okay, this is important, we need to understand here. Along with this, now what we need to understand here what I'm doing here, package is the first executable statement here. Whenever you're trying to write any code here, now what we need to understand here, whatever the package we are defining here, the package is the first executable statement here. Okay, if you're trying to write the package information, if you're trying to write this particular packages information after this particular class, for example, if I'm going to write inside this particular class here, so now you can see, so these many errors we are getting here. These many errors we are getting. So now what we need to understand, so this is not the expected behavior. Okay, so this is not the expected behavior. So basically here we need to follow this particular basically our rules and regulations whenever we are trying to create the packages here. Basically packages basically is the first executable statement we need to define here along with this particular package name. Now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to create the name of the classes information. Only the advantage we are going to get if we can create the multiple multiple files with a different packages information here. Now if I'm going to provide this information, for example, so if you observe carefully, like I will open this same figure class here. So you can see the project directory also, it is going to created by our package here. Getting the point? This is very important information we need to understand here. What is the important information we need to understand? So what I'm doing here, you can see this is the base directory. Okay, so inside this particular base directory, now what I'm doing here, So this is the source we created. Getting the point? This is this particular source we created. And whenever we are creating this particular source, now what happening internally? It is coming with the packages here. So this is the different package. Now com dot core 07 abstract. Now what you understand basically, it will try to create the directory structure here. Whenever we are defining this particular package, what happening internally? It is trying to create the directory structure here. Okay. So if I'm going to open this particular class, okay, so if I'm going to open this particular class, now what we need to understand here, you can see the directory is important here. The particular directory is important. Inside this particular source, now observe carefully, we are having com. So inside this particular 07, so abstract is a one folder, inheritance is a one folder. Okay, we have some different folders here. Getting the point? How we are getting this particular folders here? Basically, whenever we are trying to create this particular packages here, based on this particular package, we are getting a folder here. So first one, com. After the dot, it is moving into the subdirectory. So something like core 07. And another one, what we need to understand here, something like abstract here. Something like abstract we need to understand here. Okay. So this is very important information we are going to get whenever we are trying to create this particular packages here. Getting the point? This is very important information we need to understand here. So basically, so these are all the three important things we need to understand whenever we are trying to discuss about this particular packages. What are the basic information? First, package is a first executable statement, and the second one, with help of this particular packages, we are going to create the multiple classes. Those are having same names here. But how we are going to differentiating here? With help of this particular packages here. Okay. For this, we discuss the single example here. Okay, so with the help of this particular packages name, if I'm going to open this particular class, now you can see, so we created the multiple same classes here, the same classes we created, but only the difference is here with help of this particular packages here. Only it is providing it, we provided the different packages names here. So this is very important information we are going to understand with help of this particular packages here. And with help of this particular packages, now what we can understand here, we are going to use the import statements here. Okay, so we are going to define the import statements here. Okay, so let's define the simple packages here. If I want to create the package, how we are creating it? This is the keyword we are going to use, package, and you can use any naming convention. You can define any naming convention. Basically, for this particular real-time example, we are going to follow the structure like this: com dot name of our organization and the name of our project name. Something we are going to provide here. Okay, this is important here. They are going to start with the com, or they are going to start with the organization, something like org. But here, the package is the first executable statement. This is very important here. Without the creating the packages, we are not going to write single classes here. Okay. Now you can think about how much this particular packages are important here. Now, what I will do for this particular packages, I'm going to create a simple example. Here you can see with help of this particular Java package here, with help of this particular Java package, now what you need to understand here, we are going to create the new packages here. And here I'm trying to create here something like my pack. My pack is nothing but I'm trying to create a one packages information. So after finishing this, now what you need to understand here, I'm going to create a one class here. So observe carefully, I'm trying to create the balance class here. Inside this particular balance class, now what I will do, I'm going to write the properties here. So first one is name, and here we are going to write as a balance here. See, basically, we need to follow the case sensitive. You can write any order basically. If you observe carefully, this is the package we created, AB made. Now you can see abstract I follow the capital A here. So why I'm following this particular capital A? Because we cannot create a small a. Why we cannot create the small a? Here basically it is a keyword. Getting the point? So based on our requirement here, we can follow. But most of the cases, we are going to create the packages as a case sensitive only. Okay, and here we need to follow all the lower cases information. Most of the cases we are going to follow all the lower cases here. Okay, but we can create, but that is not the good solutions here. But based on our requirement here, we can create. Okay, this is important here. Now observe carefully here what I'm doing here. I'm trying to create this particular balance class here, and this particular balance is expecting two parameters. First one is name, and the second one is balance. Now another one, the constructor I'm trying to create here, which is expecting balance, and so I want to write here string name comma double balance here. Okay, so what we need to understand basically here, this is the constructor I'm defining, and this particular constructor I'm going to make this dot name is equals to name, this dot balance is equals to balance here. Okay, so this is the purpose of this particular constructor will do. And now what we need to understand here, after creating this particular constructor, I'm going to create one method called something like show method, and this particular show method I'm checking here if this particular balance less than 0. If this particular balance less than 0, now I will print. I'm trying to use the print method. I'm not printing anything yet. Just I'm trying to print this particular arrow. So otherwise, what I will do here, I'm going to print this particular message here, like name of this particular balance, as well as I'm going to use a $1 symbol. Getting the point? And balance here. I'm going to use this particular balance here. Okay, so this is the important class we are defining. But what we need to understand, so this is how we are creating this particular package and how we are trying to create the classes here. Okay, this is important information. Now finally what I will do, so here only I'm going to create, otherwise we'll try to create with one more class. This is purpose for the main class here. Account balance. Now what I am doing here, the account balance here. Here what you need to understand basically, balance is the type I'm defining, and this particular balance is expecting array here. So this is the array type I'm trying to create here. Now observe carefully, this is important. So earlier we discussed about the integer related array example. Now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to define the particular example call here array type here. Okay, now how I'm trying to define here, this is the balance I'm defining. So carefully observe, this is not the single object, it is expecting multiple object. It is a array type here. So how many objects I'm creating? 3 objects I'm creating. Observe carefully, this is the array we are creating. Basically this is the custom array we are creating. Earlier what are the different type of array example we discussed is something like int arr is equals to new int, and we given the size, something like the size we given. Same way we created the double related example. Okay, so DOB something like, here I'm going to provide the array type here, and here I'm going to give as the size as a 5. Now, so see the carefully. This is the primitive data type here. The int and double, basically these are all the primitive data type here. Now what I'm doing here basically here, with the help of this particular primitive data type, now I'm trying to create a one custom data type. Balance is a one custom object we created here. Getting the point? Balance is the custom object we created it, and it is expecting this information. Basically, this particular balance is a custom type. Whatever this particular balance we created, this is expecting 3 objects here. Now, how it is expecting it? Now we can define like this. So, balance 1, balance 2, and balance 3. So, you can identify 0, 1, 2. Getting the point? This is important, we need to understand here. Getting the point? This is very important, we need to understand. Here I'm going to create the balance 1 object, and here I'm going to create balance 2, and here I'm going to create balance 3. Okay, so these are all the 3 objects we are going to create, and this particular references will contain here current. Okay, current, where I define this is the particular current will contain here. Okay, we'll see how this particular objects we can define here. I'm not deleting this particular diagram. I'm going to use. Observe carefully what I'm doing here. I'm trying to create objects. So how I'm trying to creating an object basically? Current here I'm trying to define with a 0, because it will start with a 0 indexes here, and inside this particular 0 index. So what is an object we need to create here? We need to create this particular balance here, and this is the object I'm creating. But balance is expecting some parameters. So what are the parameters is expecting here? Now you can see, sorry, is expecting 2 parameters here. So what are the 2 parameters it is expecting? First is a string, second one is a double here. Now you can see the default values is adding. For the string data type, it is adding null, and for this particular double data type, so it is adding 0. Okay, so internally it is trying to convert into this particular double data type. But I'm not going to provide this values here. I will try to modify with a different name of this particular balance, and with to provide the different balances here. Okay, so now what I'm doing here basically, here I'm going to use the name of the person I'm making as a Jackson, and he's expecting something like this is a balance. Okay, so this particular balance is going to store in the current 0, and inside this particular current 1, I'm trying to use new balance, and this particular balance I'm going to store with different informations here. Okay, so here what is another information we can add here? What is the name of the person we can provide? Something like Kumar. Okay, so the Kumar is expecting 45, like 452.98 here. So this is the second record. Now third record I'm trying to insert here, and how I'm trying to inserting here? This is the way of creating this particular third record. So third record I'm trying to provide as a Joseph, something like 74.14. Getting the point? These are all the 3 objects we created. Okay, these are all the 3 objects we are trying to create. Like where we are trying to inserting this information under this particular balance array. The line number 6, we created the balance array. We are inserting into this particular balance array. Because I provided here only the size as a 3, I am inserting only this particular 3 records here. Based on this particular size, we can insert multiple records. This section we already discussed in the previous example. Okay, now what we can do, I'm going to use type here balance, and here I'm going to make as a bal and current year. And using this, what I will do, so I think no need. Show method. Okay, so this particular show method is going to call. Now here, if the balance is 0, so just we'll print this particular arrow. Otherwise, we are going to print this particular information here. Okay, let's run this example. We'll understand how it is printing. Observe carefully the name of the person name. We provide as some different names here, and each person having different amount here. But what we need to understand basically here, first we need to understand how we can come up with this particular package, and later how we can create a custom array basically. This is not the predefined array. Okay, this is not the particular predefined array. So it is the custom array we created, and we inserted the multiple values. Getting the point? We inserted the multiple values. So this is very important. We need to understand here. Okay, this is very important information we need to understand here. Any questions here? Okay, so what about the others? Okay, now one of the important example we are going to discuss is something like access protection. The access protection basically what it will do, it will try to give you the more information about the how we can go for the like a public access modifier or a protected access modifier or the default access modifier as well as the private access modifier. Okay, so based on this particular access modifiers here, I'm going to create the simple example here. But before going to discuss about the example here, we need to understand the diagram here. We need to understand this particular diagram. So this particular diagram will give you the some basic information here, how it is going to look like here. Now observe carefully here. I'm trying to define this, and internally what I will do, so this is I'm going to keep for the naming purposes here. Okay, and this is I'm going to use private. Little bit size I will give different here. Okay, this is important here. Now what I will do, now here I'm going to create the same class, and here I'm going to create the something like same package subclass here, and here I'm going to create the something like same package non subclass here, and here different package subclass and different package non subclass. So this is the information we need to understand here. Okay, here I'm going to write private. Okay, and here I'm going to write default, and here I'm going to write protected, and the final one I'm trying to write here public here. Okay, and here what we need to write basically same class. Okay, and here same package subclass, and here non subclass. Getting the point? And here different package subclass. Okay, different package subclass, and the final one non-subclass. So this is the important information we are going to discuss here. Okay, observe carefully. So this is the diagram we need to understand here. If you observe this particular diagram, you can easily understand all the access modifiers. So right now we are having, these are all the 4 access modifiers here: private, default, protected, as well as public here. Now what I will do here, within the same class. So within the same class we can access all the private information. Okay, we can access all the private information. What about this particular second one? Same package subclass. So the private access modifier, basically it will allow only within the same class. So here we'll get no here. Getting the point? Here the private access modifier we are not going to access even though we are inside the same package. Even though we are inside this particular same package here. Okay, this is very important information we need to understand here. Only the private access modifier will access within the same class. But here the package name is same, but we are trying to access within the subclass. Okay, the example we already discussed here. But here same another example, same package non-subclass. Okay, and different package subclass here. Different package subclass, and finally different package non-subclass. So the private access modifier is only applicable when the same package, or sorry, within the same class. Even though it is in the different package or the same package, so that is not a matter. But whatever the variable we are providing it, we are going to access within the same class. Okay, this is we need to understand very carefully here. Now, remaining all the classes, what we are trying to access here, it is not applicable. We'll get a compilation error. Okay, this is very important here. Now we'll come back to the default. What about this particular default here? And inside this particular default, like in the same class we can access. Okay, in the same class we can access. What about this particular same package subclass? We can access the default related information. Okay, even if it is the same package non-subclass. Okay, there is no relation here. Only we have created the information within the same package, but the two classes we don't have a relation here. So even though we don't have a relation, we are going to access happily here. This is important information we need to understand. But this section we are not going to use here. Here, whenever we are trying to discuss about the different package, the different packages here, different packages basically the default information we are not going to access inside the different package. Okay, this is also not applicable. Getting the point? And the default information only applicable up to the same package. Whatever the same package we define here, within the same package we can access all the information here. Okay, this is very important information we need to understand. And finally, we need to move on to this particular protected. Protected is very important example we are discussing here, because it will try to access in the same class, and it will try to access in the subclass, and even it will try to access in the non-subclass, and even it will try to access in the different package, but only it will not access whenever we are trying to create an object. There is no relation here. There is no relation here. So in this case only the last one will failing here. So whatever the last section we created here, different package non-subclass. So this is failing here. Now finally the public information. Public basically it will applicable in all the location wherever you are trying to access here. In all the locations we can access here. Okay, this particular diagram will give you the more understanding about this particular access control here. Okay, so whatever the access control we are having right now, so those are nothing but first one is private, and default, protected, and public. And public. So these are all the 4 access modifier we are having in our Java language. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to explain like which access modifier is going to use in the same package, same class, or subclass, or non-subclass, different package. Okay, these are all the different ways we can access the access modifiers here. Okay, this is the diagram will give you the more understanding about the all the access modifiers. So any questions here? Okay. Now observe carefully. Using this particular diagram, we are going to define the all the example how we can use. So here I'm going to create the simple example, and otherwise we can use here. Okay, so 07 my package I'm creating it, and the name of the class what I'm trying to create basically something like protection. Okay, so this is the protection class I'm trying to create here, and using this particular protection class I'm trying to define all the access modifiers. So first one I'm defining as a default, second one I'm defining as a private here, n underscore private I'm trying to define as a second value, and protected into n underscore pro. Getting the point? So you can see how I'm trying to creating this particular naming convention. So last one I'm trying to create public into n underscore pub. Okay, so these are all the values. Getting the point? So carefully observe how I'm trying to creating this. So we come up with the one class called protection, and the protection is having different variables information. The protection is expecting different information. So whenever it is expecting different information, what we need to understand here. So observe, I'm trying to create a one constructor. So this is the constructor we are going to use, and here this is the base constructor I'm trying to create here, and I will print the all the values. This is basically n value. Okay, and here so I'm going to print another important information, something like n underscore private value. Okay, n underscore private, and same way we'll try to use the n underscore protected, and finally okay, these are all the simple example we created. Now what we need to understand here, I am able to access the private information here. Now you can see I created one private variable. The private variable I'm trying to access within the same class. Getting the point? I'm trying to access within this particular same class here. But what we need to understand basically, whenever I'm trying to extend this class. Okay, whenever I'm trying to extend this particular class, you will get understand more. Now you can see this is the one derived class I'm creating, but the derived class basically in the same package. Getting the point? This is important here. This particular derived class I'm creating, the derived class basically it is inside this particular same package. Now it is extending from this particular protection here. Getting the point? It is extending from this particular protection. Whenever it is extending, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to print this particular constructor, and it is the default constructor. Now what we need to understand here. Now observe carefully. I'm going to copy this particular all all the values I'm pasting inside this particular derived class. So now observe carefully. Now carefully observe how many errors we are getting basically here. Only one error we are getting. Getting the point? Only one error we are getting. So what is the error basically here? Something like n underscore private. Why we are getting this error? Any idea? Because this variable we made as a private here. Okay, private into n underscore pri. The same variable line number 11 we are accessing here. Inside this particular line number 11, we are not getting any error. But whenever we are trying to access inside this particular line number 7, we are getting an error. So now what you need to understand here, this diagram you need to understand. So this particular private is only applicable within the same class. Okay, same class, we are not getting any error. But only other than this particular same class, now we are trying to access this particular section. Now we are accessing same package subclass. So what is the same package we are having? Something like my pack. Okay, this is the package name we created and subclass. How we are calling the subclass here? Because protection is a superclass and we are extending into derived. Okay, derived here basically subclass. Getting the point? This is important. Here protection is a superclass. Now what I'm doing is the superclass functionality I'm trying to access into this particular subclass here. Now what happening internally? What happening internally? The subclass functionality, it is giving me an error because of this particular private access modifier. The private access modifier basically we are not going to access here. Okay, we are not going to access. So this is very important information we need to understand here. So this we identified here. Other than this particular private, we are not getting any other errors. Okay, so this is important here. Now you can see, if we observe this, all the remaining are we can easily access other than this particular private here. Okay, these three locations we are able to access happily. The default one, protected one, as well as the public one. Okay, where we are trying to defining this all the information, here we are defining. So first one is a default one, and the remaining two, second one is a protected, third one is a public. Third one is a public here. Okay, this is very important information we need to understand here. Getting the point? Now, so this section we identified. Like the two section. First same class we identified. Now we completed this particular same package subclass. Now what I'm doing it? I'm trying to move this particular example, same package non-subclass. Getting the point? Same package non-subclass. How we are going to create the same package here. Getting the point? So same package non-subclass. So if you observe carefully, here I'm going to create the information. Here I'm not using this particular extend. Okay, so this is important. There is no relation between now whatever this particular protected we are having, protected as well as this particular derivative. This particular protected and derivative, we don't have any relation here. But how we are going to make non-subclass? So this is basically non-subclass only. These two classes are having within the same package, but there is no relation here. We don't have any relation here. But how I'm going to make this particular object into, how I want to access this particular information here. Getting the point? I want to access all the variables which are having inside this particular protected class. Okay, so carefully observe how I'm trying to creating it. Inside this, I created the protection class. Okay, so I'm trying to make variable as a PRO, and here I'm trying to create the particular new operator and object here. Getting the point? So here now what I'm doing is I'm trying to create an object here. Getting the point? I'm trying to create the object. So what is an object I'm trying to create? Something like a protection here. protection object. So using this particular protection object, I will try to access all the information here. What all the variable we defined here, I'm going to access all the variable. So how I'm accessing? Something like pro dot. Okay. So same way here I'm going to access pro dot. pro dot. Now here also you need to understand very carefully. Here what you need to understand carefully, whenever we are trying to make, whenever we are not making the relation between these two classes, what all the two classes we are having? The two classes basically derived as well as this particular protection here. Okay. Now even though we don't have this particular relation, so only the private access modifier we are getting. Other than this particular private access modifier, we are not getting any error. So only you can see the line number 8 we are getting an error. The line number 8 we are getting an error. The remaining all the variables what we provided inside this particular protection class, we are happily accessing all the variables here. Getting the point. Now we'll move on to this particular diagram here. Now any other errors we need to expect here. So observe carefully. Only even though this same package non subclass we created now, and here only this particular the private access modifier will get an error, and remaining this particular three locations, the default as well as the particular protected and as well as the public, we are not going to get any error. We can access happily without any error. We are going to access happily here. Okay. So this is the another important example we discuss here. So any questions so regarding these two, same class and the same package subclass and non subclass? Any questions here? Because this is very important example we are discussing here regarding all the access modifier what we created. So all the access modifier we created here. Okay. So don't confuse it. This same applicable for this particular methods also. This is applicable for the methods also. Any questions here? Okay.
సార్ బేస్ కండక్టర్కి ఏది ప్రింట్అవుట్ చేస్తున్నారు సార్? నాకు అర్థం కావట్లేదు సార్. సిస్టమ్ అవుట్ ప్రింట్ 9th లైన్ సార్.
ఇది ఒక మెసేజ్ ప్రింట్ చేశాను నేను అంతే, ఇక్కడ నేనేం చేయలేదు.
ఓకే.
ఇది ఏంటంటే ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాల్ అయింది అని ఒక మెసేజ్ ప్రింట్ చేశాను అంతే. ఇది ఏం చేయదు. బట్ ఫోకస్ ఏంటంటే ఈ వాల్యూస్ మీద మనం బాగా ఫోకస్ చేయాలి.
ఇది యూజ్ చేసినా చేయకపోయినా ప్రాబ్లం లేదు కదా సార్?
ఇది ఎస్ లైన్ నెంబర్ 9 యూజ్ చేసినా చేయకపోయినా ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. బట్ ప్రాబ్లం ఎక్కడంటే ఈ 4 ఇట్లోనే ఇంకా. సో కరెంట్ క్లాస్లో ఏదైతే క్లాస్లో మనం యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నామో ఆ క్లాస్లో ఎలాంటి ఇష్యూస్ ఉండవు. ఇప్పుడు చూస్తే ఇక్కడ సేమ్ క్లాస్లో అన్ని యాక్సెసిబుల్. ఓకే. నువ్వు ప్రైవేట్ తీసుకో, డిఫాల్ట్, ప్రొటెక్టెడ్, పబ్లిక్, ఎనీ మాడిఫైర్ నువ్వు డిఫైన్ చేసినా సో అన్నీ యాక్సెసిబుల్ ఇక్కడ. ఓకే. బట్ ఎందుకంటే మూవ్ అయినా కొద్ది అంటే ప్యాకేజెస్ మూవ్ అయినా సబ్ క్లాసెస్ డిఫరెంట్ క్లాసెస్ ఏదైతే మనం డిఫైన్ చేస్తున్నామో దాన్ని బట్టి ఇక్కడ ద యాక్సెసిబిలిటీ ఈజ్ మాడిఫై అవుతుంది ఇక్కడ. బట్ ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుందంటే సేమ్ క్లాస్లో ఉన్నాం కాబట్టి ఏ యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్ పెట్టినా కూడా మనం యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే. అదే ఇక్కడ మనం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తున్నాం ఎందుకంటే ఇది సేమ్ క్లాస్ ఇక్కడ. సో ఈ ప్రొటెక్షన్ అనేది బేసిక్గా ఇది ప్రొటెక్షన్ అనేది సేమ్ క్లాస్లో డిఫైన్ చేశాను. అండ్ ఇక్కడ నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, అవే వేరియబుల్ని నేను యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నువ్వు ఇక్కడ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి నువ్వు యాక్సెస్ చేస్తే నీకు ఈ వాల్యూస్ అన్నీ ప్రింట్ అవుతాయి. సో ఇక్కడ నేను ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తున్నానంటే సో ప్రొటెక్షన్ అనే ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. దాని తర్వాత ఓకే, మనకి మెథడ్లు ఏం లేవు కాబట్టి డైరెక్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టరే, ఆ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్నే కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను ఇక్కడ. సమ్వేర్ వీఆర్ గెటింగ్ అన్ ఎర్రర్. ప్రస్తుతానికి దీన్ని కామెంట్ చేస్తాను. ఇక్కడ ఈ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ రన్ చేస్తే సో ఎన్ వాల్యూ 1 ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది, సో ప్రైవేట్ వాల్యూ 2 అని ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది, ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ వాల్యూ 3 అని ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది, పబ్లిక్ వాల్యూ 4 అని ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, బట్ ఇక్కడ నువ్వు ఏం అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి అంటే, సో ఈ క్లాస్లోనే యాక్సెప్ట్ చేస్తున్నా అంటే ఇది ఒక కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ని కాల్ చేశాను, ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్లో నేను ప్రింట్ చేస్తున్నాను వాల్యూస్ని. ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే ఈ వాల్యూస్ అనేది ఈ క్లాస్లోనే డిఫైన్ చేశాను, ఈ క్లాస్లోనే యూజ్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో నాకు ఇక్కడ ఎలాంటి ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ రావు. ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఎప్పుడు వస్తాయి అంటే ఎప్పుడైతే మనము రిలేషన్ని యూజ్ చేసిన, సో రిలేషన్ బేసిక్ ఏంటంటే డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాసు, ఈ క్లాస్ ఏమన్నా ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేస్తే, ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇంతవరకు నేను ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేశాను, ఎక్స్టెండ్ విత్ ప్రొటెక్షన్. ఓకే, నేను ఇక్కడ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరము లేదు, అండ్ నేను ఐ విల్ రిమూవ్ దిస్. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తే ఏంటంటే ఈ ప్రైవేట్ అనేది కంపైలేషన్లోనే మనకి ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది. ఈ డైరెక్ట్ వేరియబుల్ని మనం యాక్సెస్ చేయలేము ఇక్కడ, ఎందుకంటే ఈ వేరియబుల్ని మనం ఏం చేసాం, ప్రైవేట్ అని మాడిఫై చేసాం కాబట్టి. ఇది అనదర్ క్లాస్ కదా, ఇట్లా ఈ క్లాస్ అనేది డిఫరెంట్ క్లాస్. సో ఈ ప్రొటెక్షన్లో డిఫైన్ చేసిన వేరియబుల్ని మనం ఈ డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్లో యాక్సెస్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేస్తున్నాం. దానికోసం మనకు ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది, ఈ ప్రైవేట్ అనేది ఎర్రర్. ఎందుకు వస్తుంది ప్రైవేట్ అంటే విత్ ఇన్ ద సేమ్ క్లాస్ వీ నీడ్ టు యాక్సెస్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్స్ హియర్. ఓకే, నౌ ఐఎమ్ కామెంటింగ్ దిస్. సో ఐ విల్ గో టు దిస్ పర్టికులర్ డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేషన్. ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు చూస్తే ఇక్కడ ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే 2 కన్స్ట్రక్టర్లు కాల్ అవుతున్నాయి. సో 2 కన్స్ట్రక్టర్లు ఎందుకు కాల్ అవుతున్నాయి ఇక్కడ, ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఫస్ట్ నా ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ప్రైవేట్ వేరియబుల్, ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ వేరియబుల్, పబ్లిక్ వేరియబుల్ ఇది కాల్ అవుతుంది. దాని తర్వాత ద బేస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్, ఈ బేస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ అనేది నేను ఎక్కడ డిఫైన్ చేశాను, డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్లో డిఫైన్ చేశాను. సో ఇది లైన్ నెంబర్ 6 ప్రింట్ అవుతుంది, దాంతోపాటు ఈ 3 వాల్యూస్ కూడా ప్రింట్ అవుతున్నాయి. ఇక్కడ ఎన్ వాల్యూ, ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ వాల్యూ, పబ్లిక్ వాల్యూ. ఎందుకంటే ప్రైవేట్ వేరియబుల్ మేము యాక్సెస్ చేయలేము కాబట్టి కామెంట్ చేశాను. కానీ ఇక్కడ ఏం అర్థం చేసుకోవాలంటే మనం ఎక్స్టెండ్ కీవర్డ్ ఇచ్చాం కాబట్టి, సో దీన్ని కాల్ చేసే ముందు, డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాల్ చేసే ముందు సూపర్ క్లాస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాల్ అవుతుందని మనం ప్రీవియస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్లో డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నాము. ఓకే, దానికోసమని ఫస్ట్ ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ క్లాస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాల్ అవుతుంది, తర్వాత ఈ డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాల్ అవుతుంది. ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే రిలేషన్, ఎలాంటి రిలేషన్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేశాము, ఇక్కడ ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ అనేది సూపర్ క్లాస్ అండ్ డెరైవ్డ్ అనేది సబ్ క్లాస్ ఇయర్. ఓకే, ఎలా ఉంది రిలేషన్ అంటే విత్ హెల్ప్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ ఎక్స్టెన్స్ కీవర్డ్. ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్టెన్స్ ఇచ్చాను నేను. ఓకే, దిస్ ఈస్ నౌ విల్ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఏ డెరైవ్డ్ ఈజ్ అ సబ్ క్లాస్ అండ్ ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ ఈజ్ అవర్ సూపర్ క్లాస్. ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఈజ్ అవర్ సూపర్ క్లాస్. ఈ కేసులో కూడా మనకు ఒకటే ఎర్రర్ వస్తుంది. ఏంటి ఎర్రర్ అంటే, సో ఇది సేమ్ ప్యాకేజ్ సబ్ క్లాస్, సేమ్ ప్యాకేజ్లోనే ఉన్నాము, సబ్ క్లాస్లో ఓన్లీ ప్రైవేట్ మనం యాక్సెస్ చేయలేము, ఇక్కడ ప్రైవేట్ యాక్సెస్ చేయలేము, అండ్ రిమైనింగ్ ప్రైవేట్ వీ కెన్ యాక్సెస్ ఆల్ ద వేరియబుల్స్. ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇయర్. అండ్ సెకండ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం ఏం చేసాం ఇక్కడ, నాన్ డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్. సో లైక్ నాన్ సబ్ క్లాస్. నాన్ సబ్ క్లాస్ అంటే బేసిక్గా అనదర్ క్లాస్, ఆ క్లాస్కి ఈ క్లాస్కి ఎలాంటి రిలేషన్ లేదు. బేసికలీ వీ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ ఏ రిలేషన్ బిట్వీన్ దీస్ 2 classes. So then we are going to call it as a non-subclass here. Okay, this is important here. Basically, whenever we are defining the 2 classes, the 2 classes cannot have a relation between each other. So those classes we'll call it as a non-subclasses. Okay, and here now what I'm doing is I'm trying to create an object here. How I'm trying to create an object here? Now if you see, this is the derived class, but internally I'm creating an object. Internally I'm trying to create an object here. Okay, so here using this particular constructor I'm trying to call all the variable, but in these locations also we are unable to access this particular section here. The same, whatever the private variable we defined here, the private variable still it is giving me an error. Okay, still it is giving me an error. This is very important information we need to understand here. And now what I will do, I'm going to comment out this section of code. I'm going to comment out this particular section of code here. And finally, what I will do, I'm going to run the same example. And here we don't have a relation. Directly, I'm going to create an object of this particular derivative class. Now I'm running here. Now whenever we are running, what happening internally? Inside this particular derivative class, again we are trying to create an object. Which object we are creating? Something like protection. So here, the line number 5, we are creating a protection object. Because of this, it is calling this particular values. Now still you can see, we can access the private variable. But inside the child class, so inside this particular non-subclass, still we are unable to access the private variable I commented here, and the remaining variable we can access here. The remaining, the 3 variable we can access here. Okay. So is it clear? Okay. If anyone having any questions, you can ask me. So otherwise I will move on the another important content here.
సార్ ఫోర్త్ ప్లేస్లో పబ్లిక్ స్టాటిక్ వాయిడ్ మెయిన్ స్ట్రింగ్ ఇవన్నీ యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు కదా సార్.
4th place లో ఇక్కడనా?
ఎస్ సార్.
సో బేసిక్గా నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నానంటే ఇక్కడ ఇది నువ్వు ఐడెంటిఫై చేయాలి. సో సేమ్ ప్యాకేజ్ నాన్ సబ్ క్లాస్ అన్నాను. నాన్ సబ్ క్లాస్ అంటే ఇక్కడ 2 క్లాస్కి రిలేషన్స్ ఉండకూడదు. ఏవైతే 2 క్లాసులు నేను యూజ్ చేస్తున్నానో ఆ 2 క్లాస్కి రిలేషన్స్ ఉండవు. సో దానికోసం నేను మెయిన్ అని క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. బేసిక్గా ఇక్కడ మనం క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. మెయిన్ ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ సేమ్ ఇక్కడ సింపుల్గా మెయిన్ అని క్రియేట్ చేసి ఈ యొక్క లైన్ స్టేట్మెంట్ రాయొచ్చు. సో అది ఎక్కడ రాయొచ్చు అంటే ఆఫ్టర్ దిస్ నువ్వు ఎక్కడ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి మెయిన్ అనేది. సో దీంట్లో ఇలా చేయొచ్చు. ఓకే, లైన్ నెంబర్ 4 కాదు. ఎందుకు లైన్ నెంబర్ 4 కాదు అంటే ఇక్కడ నేను పబ్లిక్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఒక డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ డిఫైన్ చేశాను. సో ఈ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ని ప్రింట్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేస్తాను. ఎందుకు ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను అంటే యాక్సెసిబిలిటీ కోసం టెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను. అంటే ఏ యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్ ఎక్కడ వాడుకోవచ్చు. సో దానికోసం మనం ఆల్రెడీ డిఫైన్ చేసాం యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ద వేరియబుల్స్. ఈడున్న వేరియబుల్ అన్నిటికీ ఒక్కొక్క యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్ ఇచ్చాను. అంటే ఇక్కడ నేను ఏమి ఇవ్వలేదు కాబట్టి ఇది డిఫాల్ట్ అంటాము. ఇది ప్రైవేట్ యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్, ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్ అండ్ పబ్లిక్ యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ 4 యాక్సెస్ మాడిఫైర్లు ఇచ్చాను. వీటిని డిఫరెంట్ వేస్లో టెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో దానికోసం నేను ఈ లైన్ని యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈజ్గా ఉంచాలి. కాకపోతే ఇక్కడ ఈ లైన్ నెంబర్ 12, 13 వీ కెన్ డిఫైన్ లైక్ దిస్. నువ్వు రన్ చేసినా కూడా సేమ్ అవుట్పుట్ వస్తుంది. ఓకేనా? సో ఇక్కడ నువ్వు ఇంకా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ లేదంటే బేసిక్గా నాకు కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ అవసరం లేదనుకుంటే అప్పుడు నువ్వేం చేసావు అంటే ఈ కోడ్ అంతా ఒక మెథడ్లోకి మూవ్ చేసి ఒక మెథడ్లోకి మూవ్ చేయి. సో మెథడ్ ఏంటంటే ద సేమ్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ నేను మెథడ్ కూడా తీసుకుంటున్నాను. ఇక్కడ ఇన్సైడ్ ద మెథడ్, ఈ మెథడ్లో నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను, ప్రొటెక్షన్ అనే ఆబ్జెక్ట్. అండ్ ఇది కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ కాదు కాబట్టి కామెంట్ అవుట్ చేస్తా. అండ్ సో ఇవి మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను యాక్సెస్ చేయడానికి. నౌ యూ కెన్ సీ లైన్ నెంబర్ 11 స్టిల్ వీఆర్ గెటింగ్ అన్ ఎర్రర్. The line number 11 still we are getting an error here because we cannot access this particular private variable here. So here I'm going to comment out the line number 11 and finally dev dot derived method. Now you can see ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుంది, ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే నేను బేస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ అనే దాన్ని కామెంట్ చేశాను కాబట్టి సో ఈ 4 వాల్యూస్ సూపర్ క్లాస్ నుంచి కాల్ అవుతున్నాయి, 3 వాల్యూస్ ద డెరివేటివ్ క్లాస్ నుంచి కాల్ అవుతున్నాయి. ఎందుకు కాల్ అవుతున్నాయి అంటే నేను ఇక్కడ ఒక కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ని కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను, ఇక్కడ డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ని కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను కాబట్టి ఆ డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఈ లైన్స్ ని ప్రింట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఇంటర్నల్ గా ఈ లైన్స్ ని ప్రింట్ చేస్తుంది ఇక్కడ. అండ్ ఇది ప్రింట్ అయిన తర్వాత ఇక్కడ ఏవైతే మనం 3 లైన్లు నేను కోడ్ రాశానో ఆ 3 లైన్స్ కోడ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. అదే ఈ వాల్యూస్ ఎన్ వాల్యూ, n_pro, n_public. ఓకే, ఇంకా ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్?
ప్రొడక్షన్ జావా, డెరైవ్డ్ జావా, అకౌంట్ బ్యాలెన్స్ అది ఒక మెథడ్ సార్.
ఇక్కడ చెప్పా కదా, డెరైవ్డ్ అనేది ఒక క్లాస్. ఓకే, ప్రొటెక్షన్ అనేది ఇంకొక క్లాస్, అకౌంట్ బ్యాలెన్స్ అనేది ఇంకొక క్లాస్. ఒక్కొక్క క్లాసు ఒక్కొక్క పర్పస్ ఉంది. ఇక్కడ అకౌంట్ బ్యాలెన్స్ ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఎర్లియర్ గా మనం ఇది ఒక అరే క్రియేట్ చేసి మనం దీనికి ఈ పర్పస్ గా వాడాము. ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేశాను, ప్రొటెక్షన్ అని ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఈ ప్రొటెక్షన్ క్లాస్ లో నేను ఆల్ వేరియబుల్స్ అన్ని డిక్లేర్ చేశా. మనం ఏవైతే వేరియబుల్స్ వాడాలనుకుంటున్నామో ఆ వేరియబుల్స్ అన్నింటినీ నేను ఇక్కడ డిక్లేర్ చేశా. సో ఇక్కడ డిక్లేర్ చేసిన వెంటనే నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, ఇక్కడ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను. ఎందుకు ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ క్రియేట్ చేశాను అంటే ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో ఈ వాల్యూస్ ని నేను యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఏ వాల్యూస్ ని, ఈ n అనే ఒక వేరియబుల్ వాల్యూస్, n_privacy అనే వాల్యూస్ ని, అండ్ n_protected అనే దాన్ని, అండ్ n_public ఇవన్నీ ఇక్కడ నేను డిఫైన్ చేశాను. ఈ 4ని నేను ఇక్కడ యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో ఇది కన్స్ట్రక్టర్. ఓకే, దాని తర్వాత ఈ క్లాస్ పర్పస్ వేర్. ఈ క్లాస్ లో నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, డిఫాల్ట్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ నేను ఏం చేయలేదు, ఒక మెథడ్ డిఫైన్ చేశాను. ఓకే, నేమ్ ఆఫ్ ద మెథడ్ కూడా సేమ్ ఇచ్చా, డెరైవ్డ్ అనే ఇచ్చాను. అండ్ దీంట్లో ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఏ క్లాస్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను అంటే ఇక్కడ ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. ఎందుకు ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను అంటే ఇక్కడ డెరైవ్డ్ క్లాస్కి ప్రొటెక్షన్ క్లాస్కి రిలేషన్ లేదు. ఎలా రిలేషన్స్ ఉండేది ఎర్లియర్ గా, ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్టెండ్స్ కీవర్డ్ అని పెట్టి మన క్లాస్ ని డిఫైన్ చేశాను. బట్ నేను ఆ ఎక్స్టెండ్ కీవర్డ్ తీసేశాను. సో తీసేసి డైరెక్ట్ గా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాను. ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఆ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ద్వారా నేను యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాను వాల్యూస్ ని. ఓకే, ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ద్వారా నేను ఈ వాల్యూస్ ని యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో ఎప్పుడైతే మనం యాక్సెస్ చేస్తున్నానో ప్రైవేట్ అనే వేరియబుల్ నేను యాక్సెస్ చేయలేను, మిగతా వేరియబుల్ ని మనం యాక్సెస్ చేయొచ్చు. ఓకే, ఏవైతే మిగతా వేరియబుల్స్ ఉన్నాయో వాటిని యాక్సెస్ చేయొచ్చు ఇక్కడ. సో ఇదే ఈ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేసేది. Okay, now what I will do, so the remaining 2 example. So to understand this, what we need to understand here, different package subclass here, different package subclass. So when we can go for this particular different package subclass. So here what I'm doing is I'm trying to create one more package. Otherwise I can use the other packages what we used earlier. Okay, so which one is the best one? Here I'm going to use the above package only. I'm going to use here. Okay, so inside this above package I'm going to create one more classes, something like protection 2. Okay, so don't confuse here. So this is the class we are creating inside this particular different package com.core07 IO package. Okay, this particular protection we created inside this particular my pack. So the name of the class we are creating as a protection, and this protection 2 we are creating under this particular com.core07.io. Okay, com.core07.io. Now what I am doing is this particular class I am going to extend here. This particular class I'm trying to extend from the important class called protection, and this protection is coming from the which package here, which is coming from the my packer. So we created in the multiple locations, but we are not going to use. So this is we are going to use com.core07 my pack. Okay, This is the protection class we are using. Now you can see, whenever I'm trying to use this particular class, we are using the import statement. Why I'm using this particular import statement here? Because compiler cannot understand if I'm not giving this particular import statement, because this class is inside the different package, this particular class is inside the different package. So if I want to use some other package information into the current class, now what we are doing is we are trying to define the import statement here. Okay, this is very important here. This particular import is going to give you the information where this particular protection is available, so which is available inside the com.core07 mypack.protection. Okay, now you can see this is com.07 mypack.protection. Okay, mypack.protection here. This is we need to understand here. Now once we define this particular protection, now what I will do, I'm going to use the constructor. Okay, I'm going to use this particular protection2 constructor, and inside this particular protection2 constructor I will copy all the information. Okay, I'm going to copy all the information. So now here, what you are understanding here? Now what you are understanding is, this is protection is coming from the different package, protection2 is coming from the different package. Protection and protection2 both are coming from the different packages. When these two sections are coming from the different packages here, the default access modifier we cannot use, and the private access modifier we cannot access here. Only we can access these two sections. Only this particular two sections we can access here. So you can see the diagram here. This particular diagram, different packages. Now we are discussing about this different packages. Only the private we are not able to access, and default not able to access. Only this particular protected and public we are able to access. So some of them, the two access modifier we are unable to access, and the two access modifier we are trying to access here. So you can see, so these two, default as well as private, we are unable to access. So you are getting line number 7 and 8 errors, and 9 and 10 we are not getting any error. Okay, this is very important example we are discussing here. Getting the point? The default access modifier is applicable within the same package. Okay, the private access modifier is applicable within the same class here. Okay, this is the very important information we need to understand here. Getting the point? This is how we can, how we are going to differentiate this particular informations here. Okay, so finally here what I'm doing here, I'm going to provide the last example. The last one is pending, that we are going to discuss here. Okay, let me write this particular another important example. So the final one will give you the protector related error. Getting the point? The final one, it will give you the protector related error. So only we can access the public one here. Only we can access this particular public section. Now to access this particular section here, what we can do? Only the simple information we can remove this. Okay, we can remove this and we can create an object here. Only here we can create the object here. Here I'm trying to create an object, and here I'm trying to access pro.npro and pro.npublic, and I'm going to enable these two also. We'll see what happens here. Pro.n. Okay, pro.private here. Now you can see how many errors we are getting here. 3 errors we are getting. So you can see here we are getting 3 errors. Only one variable we can access. So we'll see the diagram. We'll go to the diagram here. Now understand here. The diagram also giving here 3 we cannot access here. Only we can access the particular section called public. Now what you understand here, the protected information the protected information we cannot access whenever we are trying to create an object in the subclass with a different package. Get the point? Within the same package, we can access all the information, but only the difference is here we are not going to access whenever we are trying to create an object. So inside the subclass here. Getting the point? This is important information we need to understand here. Getting the point? So this is the one of the important information we need to understand here. So any questions here? Because we discussed this example here. We discussed all the scenarios, like how this particular 4 modules like access modifiers are going to work. Okay. So see, real-time scenarios basically the private we are going to use for the model classes. Okay. The default basically, if we want to provide, most of the cases we are not going to use the default one. Protected, some cases if we want to make the relations here. Getting the point? Some cases, for example, here only you can see, because in the real-time scenarios we are not going to create an object. Most of the cases we are not going to create an object, but how we are going to access here? So basically here we are going to make some dependencies here. Whenever we are trying to develop the core Java related application, like only with help of this particular core Java, if you are trying to develop the application, we'll create an object like this. Okay, but if you are trying to come up with this example, any other frameworks like Spring or any other frameworks here, so we are going to provide what kind of the object we want to create here. Okay, compiler will create an object, so and we are going to use the same object information here. So most of the cases basically will go for the private and will go for the public here. And here some cases basically, like I want to provide the API implementation. Whenever I'm trying to providing the API implementation, so in that case, we'll give you the protected access here. Getting the point? We'll give you the protected access. Now what I will do, I will provide the information regarding this particular protection whenever we are trying to discuss about the collection frameworks. So because inside the collection framework, we'll try to provide we'll see the multiple example with the different access modifiers. Okay, but only if you are not implementing the API related application, so we are not going to use the protected as well as the default. Only we'll implement the private and public here. Okay, so if you don't have anything, now I'm going to stop the session here and we'll continue tomorrow. So tomorrow, one of the important concept we are going to discuss something like interfaces here. Okay, so this is very important example we are discussing here. We'll continue tomorrow.